Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ox Court podcast presented by Boot Crew Media and sponsored by Maker's Mark. I am your host, live in the studio. Cruz Oxenrider is always joined by the co-host Nick Perkins and the intern Bond Snow. Wyatt is in the cave, boys. How we doing?
Week 1 in the books. You sound incredible, by the way. That microphone is probably worth more than my house. So you also sound a little bit hoarse. How was the game last night?
It was probably top 5 college football game I've been to live.
It's not number 1?
No.
Really?
No.
I wish I would have given anything in the world to be at that game last night.
It was fantastic. It really was. It was we'll get into that, but it was great. Yeah, sorry if I sound a little hoarse. I have been in New Orleans all weekend and I have been yelling a lot. Anyways, fantastic week 1. Playoff dreams are dead for 2 of my teams. And we did not hit our can't miss parlay.
Whose fault was
not
that?
even close.
Whose fault was that?
I'm not going to point fingers of whose fault it was.
It wasn't my fault.
It was not your fault. It wasn't Wyatt's fault.
Let's go.
So I will leave it at that till we touch on it. But honestly, one of the best like lineups of games for a week 1 that I think I can remember seeing. Huge top 10 matchups, upsets, fantastic finishes, and I'm so glad it's back. I
mean, you couldn't ask for a better week 1. I mean, App State, North Carolina to kick it off, and then we end it with, I mean, it's not even over because we get Clemson, Georgia Tech tonight. So who knows what's going to happen in that game. But last night, I mean, what a way to end it. The only thing I think that could have been better is if LSU did kick a point after attempt and actually made it and goes to like 10 overtimes. That'd be the only way that game gets better.
I don't think I could have handled an overtime game because I was holding going to the bathroom since the third quarter. And I was literally, dude, I didn't want to leave. It was can't miss.
It was can't miss. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So I heard they stopped serving beer. Did people freak out?
Oh, yeah. So they stopped serving alcohol, I guess, for college games after halftime. I had no idea.
Oh, that's a rule? I thought it was just like New Orleans decided like these people are too intoxicated. We can't do this.
I don't know because like going to games at the Superdome, they don't stop serving beer till I think 10 minutes left in the fourth. And sometimes you can still get them. But I kept going to the stand that was right next to our seats, and and no one knew they were serving liquor. So we were there, and we were just getting vodka lemonades the entire game, and they had stopped serving beer, but the lady kept, remembering me, and she was like, "Here you go, sweetie, like, just take them and go." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then the lady, and then
sweetie.
the people that,
oh man, you were getting hit on then.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I looked good last night. What can I say?
In your Florida State jersey.
Yes, I wore a Jameis Winston Florida State jersey, by the way. So I was being a
supportive. So at least you were kind of halfway loyal.
Yeah, I was being a supportive boyfriend and a loyal Saints fan. But I think we got to start with that game. It was by far, I think. You can make the case for Appalachian State, North Carolina, but this was the best game, the best game, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? It kind of had it all. It felt like a Saints game being in there as loud as it was. It was actually a 50-50 crowd from what we could see. Like,
really? Florida State traveled that well, huh?
Florida State traveled. Like, I mean, it was Bourbon Street was packed. The dome was crazy. They were chopping. I don't know if maybe the LSU fans just came like day of, but the entire weekend was taken over by Florida State Seminole fans.
Well, I mean, LSU being what, an hour and a half away, I fully expected that to be an 80-20 game, like LSU dominating the stands. I mean, it was almost like a joke that this was even considered a neutral site game. But
what did it look like on TV as far as like crowd?
I'll tell you, like, honestly, LSU, the life was just sucked out of them the entire game until like the last, obviously, 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
So anything happening, all you heard was Florida State fans. So I mean, I guess you got to give them a little bit of credit that they were definitely louder.
They made their
so much louder.
They made their noise heard. I mean, it was nuts. So we sat in the end zone in the LSU section. Not even 5 minutes into the game, we are getting absolutely harassed.
That's pretty on brand.
No, you know what's funny? It was only one person. It was one person. She was by far the worst definition of an LSU fan. We're talking rowdy, we're talking trashy, we're talking just flat out idiotic because she did not know what she was talking about.
Like, it wasn't even funny trash talk. It was like, can you just shut up, please?
I'll laugh if it's good trash talk. I legitly will laugh. I think because trash talk is what college football is all about. Honestly, it's what football and sports is all about, is good trash talk. And her husband was really nice, but she kept harassing us. So LSU goes up 3-0, and then we're just hearing it, and it just seems like LSU is going to be like, oh crap, like Jaden Daniels is that guy. Which, by the way, he played fantastic. Running the ball, he could not. He was fantastic, but he could not throw worth anything in the world.
Okay, I was about to say, let's pull it back a little bit, because I could not consider that a good performance from him.
No, I mean, running the ball, I think he had 160 rushing.
Yeah, see, and I even said this last night. I was like, how do you have LSU has the best wide receiver in the country in Butte,
and we'll touch on that.
And their quarterback ran for almost 200 yards. How does that happen?
LSU's offensive line is awful.
It's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, so we're there, and all of a sudden, so then Florida State goes down, scores, and we're excited, like we're cheering, and all Kaylee did was turn around, and this woman literally turns her around. It was like, don't look back here. Don't look.
No. Holy shit.
Then she's like saying, Brian Kelly's a millionaire. Brian Kelly's a millionaire. And I'm like, me and Kelly just looking at each other like, yeah, this is generally how college football works. Like,
yeah,
you make a lot of money.
Show me a head coach that isn't a millionaire.
Yeah, we kept getting called Florida trash, and dude, it was ridiculous. And then it's almost before halftime, and she keeps hitting me in the back, like she's trying to pound on my seat, and then it keeps slapping my back. Yeah. We're keeping her cool. After that, we kind of like, all right, we need a break. So we go upstairs to where all the food and concessions are. And I look back at her husband. I'm like, look, man, I was like, we're just trying to have a good time. Like, we're here shooting content. Like, we're just trying to watch the game. Can you like tell her to chill? And he was like, yeah. And the husband is like just apologizing. And they're actually getting in a fight, like the screaming match behind us. She's like, you're embarrassing us. Like, stop it. Like, this is ridiculous.
Is the woman blackout drunk, or is she just an asshole?
She was probably blackout drunk, honestly. Okay. If she wasn't, then she's just maybe the dumbest person I've ever met. I hope she listens to this, because I told her, I was like, yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And so it got to the point too where she's just talking absolute shit to us, and I had to turn around. I was like, you're embarrassing. Like, stop. The only redeeming thing about yourself is your husband, so please stop. And then her brother apparently is sitting right next to her and like has to apologize. So, and it was just ridiculous. After we kind of like made it clear that she just shut up, and then she was saying some ridiculous things afterwards too. But I was trying to tell Kayla the entire week before we went here how bad LSU fans are.
They're awful. They're the worst. Yeah.
Like, I've never met good LSU fans, especially when they play like a big game. Like, I was telling her, like, Alabama LSU games are awful. Like, they're terrible. They're fun, but they're awful.
Like the first experience I had, I went into I went into Baton Rouge for was it 18 or 19? No, it was 18 when we shut them out with Tua. Yeah. And man, walking out of that stadium, I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I was legitimately a little bit afraid for our safety, like walking out of there. People were like kind of running up against us, like get the F out of here. Like there was a kid 5 or 6 years old that literally told me to go F myself. Like, I'm not going to use the F word. I'm going to let somebody else use that because I've taken that up. But literally a 5 or 6 year old like ran up to me and told me that. And I'm like, these people are crazy. And I couldn't wait to get on the bus and get out of there.
One of the best stories I ever heard about an LSU fan, it was actually one of my friends who went to the University of Florida. They were in Baton Rouge, and there was this kid wearing a Teabag Tebow shirt. And this kid was maybe like 8 years old, according to my friend. And so he was just like, he was over by him, and he was like, do you even know what teabag means? To the kid, by the way, which is something you should never say to a kid. Yeah,
that's probably not a good idea.
The kid said, why don't you come over and find out? And he immediately just shut up and walked the other way. And I'm like, that's the kind of fans you deal with.
Oh my
But
gosh.
enough about their fans because they don't deserve happiness today. We got to talk about the game. Jordan Travis. I kept trying to tell y'all, dude is
good. He's good. He's good.
Dude is legit. I think I was very impressed. I thought his offensive line played pretty decent last night, but he made plays when he had to. I was impressed. I was dead wrong about LSU. I will sit here. I was high on them all off season. I was told like they're back. Jaden Daniels is the real deal. Kayshon Boutte, John Emery, the edge rushers from LSU. I mean, granted, they looked good last night.
The defensive line actually looked pretty good. Right. Yeah.
So he had Jordan Travis running for their life, but like I was wrong. Florida State looked legit. They're 2-0 for the first time since 2016. They have a bye week. They have a bye week coming up, so they get time to regroup. They played like a Friday night game against Louisville coming up. So
207 yards on 11 attempts or on 11 completions is insane.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. So I was very impressed. I kind of want to see now because now they have momentum going into ACC play. So they have to play Clemson, they have to play NC State, they have to play Wake Forest, who looked pretty good even without Sam Hartman. But I mean,
that's been the key for this Florida State program. Obviously, like you said, since 2016, they haven't gone 2-0, which is a crazy stat to say. But it's almost like they've just been snake bit so early in seasons, for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. They've always had talent, but it's just been, can they keep the belief in themselves that they can, continue to perform at a high level? Because I think a lot of their issues have been like
consistency,
a lack of belief and inconsistency. Yeah.
Well, Jimbo screwed him over, and then Willie Taggart was one of the worst hires ever. He never deserved that job. And so, and then you bring Mike Norvell in. Recruiting wise, he's done very well. My thing was, were they gonna be okay letting it be a rebuild and giving him time to get his guys in,
right?
And let him actually do this, or is the next coach going to come in and reap the benefits? Because that's what I thought. But I think last night proved that, like, hey, like, give this guy some time. He did a fantastic. Like, Florida State played very well. They could have folded. I mean,
well, let's be really honest with ourselves. Let's just say they kick that point after attempt and they make it. LSU wins in overtime.
Possibly
that narrative changes so fast.
I think we need to start a dialogue on Florida State's defensive coordinator.
Yeah, because that dude nearly threw the game.
How do you yards in a minute and a half with 2
How do you allow that?
That can't happen.
So anything that could have gone wrong almost did. So I mean, because muff pump by LSU with 1:42 left, right? There was something like that. It was like 2 minutes or 1:45.
It was like 2 minutes. They were running the clock down, and then they fumbled at like 1:30.
They ran a toss play on 3rd and goal, and it fumbled.
Why are you running a pitch?
You knee it out 3 straight times, kick a field goal, you win that game in regulation, like right there.
Well, yeah, because then it becomes a 2-possession ball game at that
with less than a minute to go.
So what happened was, and I have to tell it. We're sitting in our seats, and like I said, they muffed the punt. The people, like LSU fans, are leaving our section. Like everyone looks crying, defeated. Kaylee decides to tweet out, "Na, hey, good."
I saw that, yeah.
And then she decides to leave her seat, go a row over, leaves her seat, the entire seat she's been in, and we're very superstitious people, Nick. You know this. She leaves the seat. Not even the next play. Fumble.
Yeah.
Fumble. And then I look at her. She's celebrating. She doesn't even know that they fumbled. I have to tell her, like, Kaylee, you guys just fumbled. And she's like, they have to go 99 yards in like 40 seconds. Like, it's fine. Did she not?
Again, Bond had a great point about the defensive coordinator. It's like, how do you run complete prevent defense when they're on the one? Like, you gotta put some pressure on these guys.
Yeah.
You historically the entire game got pressure on the quarterback the entire game, and you got him on the 1 yard line. You don't run anything. You run complete prevent.
Well, I don't know if they were just trying to. They were basically like, look, Jaden Daniels hasn't been able to throw against us consistently all game, so I understand what they're doing.
True.
Which I was like, hey, like he has to go 99 yards. He has not been able to throw consistently all game. I mean, It was
when you look at like the defense they actually ran in that situation, you got to protect the sidelines. And they're running straight prevent. Like linebackers are dropping 10, 15 yards back into coverage. Your corners are all falling back instead of playing in
their free safeties were 50 yards down the field.
Right. And
I mean, again, hindsight's always 20/20, and the guy's getting paid probably $1 million a year to coach football, and we're sitting here talking about it. So, I mean, obviously there's a difference there. But, I mean, again, hindsight, but it's like, I don't know how, in what way did he think that was a good idea? I would love to know the thought process there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, too, was I just think Jaden Daniels running the football was the main thing, because at that point you're playing a contain, and then you have a spy, which is you're taking a guy out of coverage, and then dink and duck passes. I mean, that I was just like, wow, it was insane to see that drive go down, and then the whole, they have 1 play left, 1 second left. And we're in the opposite end zone, and I'm watching it, and they hit in the back of the end zone. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
What did Kaylee do?
Oh, no, just surrender Cobra. Like, hand over her face,
surrender
like,
Cobra.
Complete disbelief. Like, I was sitting there, and I'm like, I feel so bad right now. And it
probably took a lot for you to not laugh, though.
I wasn't laughing, because at this point, like, it was personal. Like, I wanted LSU to get their heart ripped out because of this.
Yeah.
So, I will give her this, though. She looked at me and she was like, the way this game's going, I'm surprised if it wouldn't, something won't happen here. And then we were in the opposite end zone. So I didn't realize the kick had gotten blocked until I saw Florida State run on the field celebrating. So I had no idea. I thought it went in. I thought the LSU fans were cheering. And then all of a sudden you just see all of the players run on the field celebrating. I'm like, oh my God, it didn't go in. So I thought maybe he shanked it. And I missed, but then to watch the highlight and see that I got blocked, which, by the way, if you watch it, the play design of that, the way that they basically shedded the block and allowed the guy to come in and just get a fingertip on it. Have one of your fastest guys on the team just sneak in like that was great, because I just couldn't believe. I thought this game was going to overtime, which I don't know if
I kind of needed it because I had the over in LSU -3, so I was like, I'm about to hit another backdoor this week, but no, I mean, obviously it wasn't to be. But unbelievable game, man. I can't believe that ending. I mean, really, truly, the entire the last 2 minutes of that game, compare that to the ending of the kick six. And I would almost say that the LSU Florida State ending is better than the kick six. And I know that's coming from an Alabama guy, but
I went to the kick six. That's the best game I've ever been to as a non-bias. If I'm looking at it from a non-biased college football fan, that's the best game I've ever been to. It had everything: drama, comeback, and then obviously arguably the greatest play in college football history. And what was at stake too? So everything that went into it. This is top 5 for me. This is probably number 3 or 4, best endings that I've been able to see.
And so, you were talking about I mean, everybody in that stadium just knew that game was going over. Hell, even Wyatt on the podcast Twitter even tweeted out free football in New Orleans. You know what I mean? And then had to correct himself. You know what I mean?
Literally getting ready to tweet that free football.
Yeah.
And oh my God, man. It was so great. It was such a great game. The environment was great. I hadn't been back to a game in the Superdome since the NFC Championship game in 2018.
When you got your heart ripped out?
Yeah. I was actually sitting in the end zone where this game we were sitting in the end zone where it happened. So thanks, Nick, you asshole.
Just got to remind you a little bit. It is Falcons. I mean, it's Falcons Saints. Yeah. So I got
a week, by the way. Can't wait to beat
I've got nothing in ammunition to get you. So I just got to bring up past things for you. So Minneapolis Miracle, by the way, that happened as well.
I hate you so much. Okay. So let's talk about the key points of the game that afterwards happened. Kayshon Boutte, LSU star receiver, which I think we all agree is arguably the best wide receiver in college football.
Talent-wise, yeah.
Did he get off the bus last night? Because I'm still looking for him. What happened?
Did he even have a target in the first half? Well, he did. It was that one that he ran a half-ass route, and it hit him in the chest, and he didn't even put his hands up. And like, obviously, he probably read the safety coming down. He's like, I'm not even getting a target here. But you still got to be looking for the ball. This is a huge game. I think he was down. They were down 7 at the time. You got to be looking for the ball the entire time. And especially if you're a wide receiver 1, like you're going to get called on even in those positions. And, Wyatt, honestly, we were talking last night after the game, and he brought up a great point. It was, 2020 happened, and 2021 he was hurt, and then this was his year to kind of ball out and have that money year, go get drafted in the first round, get $15 million signing. But to start your season out like this, and then also to clean wipe your Instagram after, like you're gonna quit the team.
So what's the deal with that? So I saw my phone died immediately after it died. So I was out of the loop for about like 3 hours. So I saw what we posted, what Wyatt posted on the Instagram and the Twitter, and basically said he wiped his Instagram clean, right? Like he deactivated it.
Well, I think he deleted everything LSU associated. It's still there. You can go to his page, but there's nothing there.
So
it says is he's like an NIL athlete and his name, Kayshon Boutte, and obviously it's like a verified account or whatever, but everything is completely wiped.
He's following 14 accounts total.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what he was following before, but he's not even following LSU football. So
Jesus.
Yeah.
So he had 2 catches on 6 targets for 20 yards last night. The best wide receiver in college football had 2 catches.
Yeah.
And then Malik Neighbors deleted all of his stuff too, but he's still following 272 accounts, and I'm too lazy to go through all that.
So
Wyatt in the cave also just said that he had a pinned tweet that said locked into LSU football. This was when he decided to stay at LSU instead of transferring to Alabama.
Yeah.
So he locked into LSU, and he has since unpinned that tweet.
So have we heard anything today? Is he done?
I got baited by a tweet earlier saying that he was transferring, but it was like a baited tweet. So I will hands up and admit that I got baited by that. But like, you can't transfer. I mean, like you can't be eligible to play in the middle of the season. So he's either quitting the team and going to go draft, or he's going to transfer and play next year, which is kind of stupid because I think he's a first round talent as it is right now.
I mean, talent wise, yeah. So,
but his attitude, that's the thing, is like,
terrible.
The attitude is bad.
I mean, if that's the case, like there has to be something going on behind the scenes, because it seems like he's never gotten along with Brian Kelly ever since he's gotten there. Because there's been rumors of him wanting the transfer when he got there.
Yeah.
And apparently he like talked him into it, and then he quit again. And then now he plays game 1. And then after game 1, he's done.
He's having to get consoled on the sidelines by Jaden Daniel. But like, I'm going to get you the ball. I'm going to get you the ball. And can't get him.
I watched that game last night, and it was funny too, because the couple behind me, I was like, I didn't realize that we paid for Les Miles 2.0. They were done with Brian Kelly after 3 quarters of football. But Jaden Daniels had 16 carries. The next closest guy was your running back at 7 for 23 yards. That's unexcusable.
Yeah.
I know Jaden was running for his life, and that's why he had technically 16 carries. And it says he had 114 yards, but he got sacked 4 times, so he lost yards on that. So he probably like looking back on it, probably had, I would say, probably around like close to 150.
Yeah.
So I was just shocked by Brian Kelly's awful game plan. Terrible in-game adjustments.
Which you were at the game, so you didn't hear his He came out of halftime.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't remember verbatim what he said, but it was something like, well, we can't play worse. Too much worse than what we did in the first half. But I mean, hell, it's my first game. I guess we're about to find out. It's like, what a crazy thing to say as a head coach coming out of halftime. That is an insane thing. And he said the same. He has a history of that, to be honest with you. But he just throws his players under the bus, man. He said something about another player last night. He was like, you know what? It's my fault for even putting him on the field.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, just completely under the bus, dude.
Yeah. He, that was Malik, wasn't it? Malik Neighbors?
I think it was Malik, which he has also blacked out his Instagram.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had 2 muff punts. I mean, that's unexcusable.
I know, but you still got to defend your guy, man.
Yeah,
like, that's
you can't come out and be like, it's my fault for even putting you on the field. No. If a coach ever says that about me, are you kidding?
I'm quitting, dude. I'm quitting that day.
He's not a good coach. And honestly, I was wrong. Like I said, I was wrong about LSU. I was high on him because I was like, hey, look, they have the talent. They have the recruiting. I think their schedule lined up with everything. And after watching that last night, I have no faith in this team.
So you went from 9-3, 10-2. Where do you sit now with them?
Maybe 7-5 if they're lucky.
If they're lucky.
And
I'm gonna give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Bond, what did you say last episode?
5-7 is their ceiling.
I think 5-7 is right there.
Yeah.
I think that's right on.
I just watched that team. I look, the only redeeming thing about LSU last night was their pass rush. Like, I will give it, those two edge guys are legit, and they're and Jones, their linebacker, is the real deal. I think he's all SEC, but this is not the same DBU that we're used to seeing. We're not, no Derek Stingley, no Greedy Williams, no Patrick Peterson, no Tyrann Mathieu, like nobody, no Jamal Adams, like no DBU this year. Like, it's bad. Like, Eli Ricks left.
Yeah.
And thank God he did, because this is a train wreck.
He's probably sitting there after that game thanking the good Lord above that he left that team. Because
No,
I mean, you're a first round pick right now, and then you're on that kind of defense that loses to Florida State. That's going to lose to Tennessee. It's going to lose to Ole Miss. Hell, they might even slip up against Mississippi State this year. That's how bad this team is.
Oh yeah.
Your draft stock goes from first round to maybe early second, late second. I mean, that's tens of millions of dollars you're talking about there.
So I will say the one person sitting at home who's so happy right now is Coach O with his massive buyout, just sitting
$16 million buyout.
Sitting somewhere in Florida with $16 million in the bank. A girl half his age.
Yeah, he's living the dream, man.
He's living the dream right now.
Living the dream.
Somebody tweeted this morning, somewhere out there, Coach O is laying in bed covered in baby oil with 3 supermodels laughing his ass off.
Oh man.
So we've obviously great game last night. Let's touch on some of the big games from Saturday. Do you want to start with the game where it was kind of the most disappointing game of the season?
I'm going to take my punishment shot right now for just how wrong I was about Oregon.
Yeah, we have to talk about Oregon, Georgia. I know the spread was at 17.5, and we were talking Oregon's defense. They had some NFL guys supposed to go in the first round. Georgia lost a ton of talent to the NFL draft last year. What was Stetson Bennett going to do with no George Pickens, no Burton, no Cook? I think he's fine.
He's good.
I think Stetson's going to grab the number 4 spot in New York at the end of the year.
Is it possible that Georgia might be better this year than they were last year?
No, their defense is not as good. And I'll say this. I'm going to double down actually on what I said last week. They're a very good team. Very, very. I mean, and I think we even said this pre-show that the gap between Alabama and Georgia and the rest of the field right now is unbelievably large.
So Bennett, 25 of 31, 368, and 2 touchdowns, no sacks, no turnovers.
I'm gonna say that game though was a product of Oregon giving up. I think they literally sucked the life out of them. If they keep playing and like normally, obviously Bo Nix isn't not. I don't even think he's a Division I quarterback. How bad that guy is, but he had absolutely no business being on that field in the second half. How bad he played. I can't believe they didn't make the switch. It's crazy.
I saw an interesting question post on Twitter. Is that loss for a season opener on the same par as Florida State 2017 against us, and just how demoralizing it is?
No, I would say it's equivalent to USC in 2016 though. That one was rough.
That was bad. No, so the game in 2017 against Florida State was actually winning that game. Like, a lot of people forget. Like,
and then DeAndre went down.
Yeah, then we kind of started to run away with it. They returned the ball over. They fumbled a kickoff on like the 5, and then we kind of took over. And then Francois broke his leg, I believe, early in the 4th. So that game, it was already 24-7 at that point.
Right.
That game had its moments because Florida State we blocked a field goal before halftime, so that would have tied the game up. And then we were just starting to kind of run away with it. But this game was not even close. Like, this game was never close. I never once felt that Oregon had a shot. Like, Bo Nix is the fact Bo Nix beat Alabama in 2019 proves that Auburn Jesus is real.
Well, yeah, I was sitting there saying that, like, talking
bad.
bad about how bad that guy was, and it's honestly embarrassing that Alabama lost to that guy. I can't believe that.
It took 2 pick sixes and a terrible field goal, which I didn't know you could snap a field goal, and
which I thought we were going to get that last night with the guy going down. I thought they were going to be like, yeah, this should have been a runoff. They're not going to have enough time to even get the snap off or whatever. Like, I thought it was going to be like game is over, and that would have been the worst ending to a college football game ever.
We were worried about that because we thought there was like, oh crap, they might start throwing punches if that.
Yeah. Oh my god, if that happened, dude. Oh my god.
So the only thing about Georgia that I really want to touch on is that Brock Bowers only had 2 catches, and it did not matter. They could not. McIntosh looked great. McConkey looked good. Mitchell looked good. I'm trying to think. Not Gilbert. The Washington kid, the one who like hurdled over the guy at 6'7".
He's 6'8", 250 and hurdled the guy.
Absolutely insane. Milton looked good running the ball. He had 50 yards. They didn't really run too much. I mean, because Stetson Bennett couldn't be stopped. You're averaging 15 yards of completion. Oregon can do nothing to stop you. It was embarrassing. Like I think that by far was the most disappointing performance of that, because it's a top 25 matchup. Technically, it's a top 15 matchup. Oregon was 11, and you have the the platform and the showcase to come out and make a statement win on week 1. Even if you don't win, you still keep it close. It was never close.
Never. I mean, Georgia went down the field, scored, got a pick. Went down the field, scored, got a pick. I mean, it was joyless murder ball. I mean, it was joyless murder ball, Georgia edition. I mean, there was not a point in that game where I was like, oh, okay, we might actually backdoor the 17.5.
No,
never.
I wasn't even watching it. I was watching the score updates on Twitter, and I was like, oh.
I think it was like into the first quarter, and I said, Bon, I love you, man, but I think this spread's dead.
It was 7-0 after 1, and then Georgia goes on to score 21 points in the second, 14 in the third, and then you know what? We'll just score one more in the fourth just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
Oregon didn't score after their field goal.
Did they pull their starters at all?
No, they started they played.
No, Kirby was still going full throttle. Like, he was screaming at players in the fourth quarter, which respect.
Nick Saban,
pretty much.
Another thing Georgia copies.
That was bad. The other game I wanted to talk about, the other disappointment.
For those not watching, I took my punishment shot.
It's only 11.
So it's 11:30. You're fine.
We're going.
All right. So,
oh my god.
The other disappointment was one of my playoff picks, NC State.
Yeah, tough one.
Barely surviving East Carolina University.
But no, that is always a trap game for them.
Yeah, I know it's a trap game, but you're supposed to be this year's like dark horse to do something, possibly make college football playoff. And it takes the kicker whiffing not once, but twice in the last 2 minutes of the game. And I'm sitting here, Nick's texting me like, buddy, I'm sorry. It's done.
Yeah.
The game is dead.
Okay, so they lined up for the PAT. He shanks that one, and I was like, they're gonna have to score a touchdown. They can't send that kid back out there to kick a 30-yard field goal. They just can't. Yeah. And hell, that's what they did. They didn't even line him up in the center. They put him on the left hash. He's a right-footed kicker. Granted, I think the commentators were talking. He was a great kicker last year. I think he nailed one from 54 and 52 last year. So he's a great kicker. But man, college kickers, you get in their head and it's over. It is done.
So I was pretty worried about that. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching that. I'm like, I made a terrible mistake, but they survive.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. I will take it.
So we were tailgating during that game, and one of my friends that puts on the tailgate with us his parents are NC State and ECU alums.
Oh wow!
So they both left at halftime to go back to their apartment and watch the game, and his mom, the ECU fan, was not very happy when they came back out.
Understandable.
Look, I I'm not even going to say it on the podcast, but there were a lot of like really hateful stuff that was getting sent about that kicker. And it would, I mean, it's kind of like the negative aspect of college athletics because that kid is, 21, 22 years old, like probably doesn't deserve to, get all that kind of hate. But I think a lot of that also has to go to the coaching staff. Like, how do you even send that kid back out there to kick that field goal?
At that point, they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a choice. They had to.
They had a minute and a half left in the game, and they're essentially running the ball to just run out the clock to kick the last minute. I mean, like, in my opinion, and now again, hindsight's 2020, but like in my opinion, you gotta go for the win on a touchdown, like because giving that kid that pressure is completely unfair after he missed that PAT.
It was pretty rough. I was nervous.
You want to talk about the other disappointment?
Yeah, we can talk.
Or do you want your other miss on the playoff?
Well, do you want to take a little bit break from getting just absolutely beaten alive right now, or do you want? We can talk about the Alabama game. Cheer you up a little bit.
No, I was wrong.
And before, when you say you were wrong, who was right about that game?
Nick.
Yeah, that's right. Man, who's gonna win Falcons Saints this week?
Oh, we are.
Wow.
No, what's wrong with you?
Oh man,
we're losing to the Falcons.
We got it, but Utah, Florida. I mean, a fun game to watch. A really fun one.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to take this one because I was not able to watch it from the quad.
Okay, so two things about this was one, Anthony Richardson is amazing.
He's a good.
I kept trying to tell you guys he is the real deal. If he is that guy, look out. And he looked like baby Cam Newton.
Yeah,
the plays he was making, the runs he was making, he completely made this game for Florida. If he was not on the field, they do not win this game. He is electric.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, well, it took Utah kind of choking the game away a little bit there at the end, but I will say to even be in that position to win the game was completely on Anthony Richardson, no doubt.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing to say except Utah was just, they got outplayed. They got outplayed. Tavon Thomas didn't really do too much except towards the end. Cameron Rising, huge disappointment.
Yeah. Tough.
I mean, it just seemed like the crowd environment, the heat,
humidity,
everything. Like it was too much. Florida's defense looked legit. They look like a legit SEC defense.
I want to know whose bright idea it was to give Utah red Gatorade because every player that was throwing up looked like they were puking blood.
Oh my god, dude, I know.
It was just, it was rough. It was that kind of Utah clearly was not ready for that kind of heat. It was obvious for that.
Well, I mean, I think Wyatt even pointed out last week, they were pumping heat into their practice facility. They were pumping sound in there. It's like you can't simulate that kind of heat. That humidity you can't do it.
I've been to a game in the Swamp in September, like week 1. It is, you lose weight going to the game because you sweat that much. It is like, I can't imagine playing a football game in that kind of weather. It is unbearably hot and unbearably humid. Like it's hard to breathe.
Right.
And the way that stadium is, you're just on top of each other. You're stacked, and it's so loud and just so uncomfortable for the away team that it is probably one of the best home field advantages in college football. I would say like LSU at night,
Swamp in September,
Whiteout at Penn State, the Horseshoe, like it's up there. It's just loud, and I gotta get props to Florida. I thought they were a year, maybe 2 away. I liked Billy Napier. I like Anthony Richardson. They have some pieces, but I was like, I just think Utah was a little better on paper coming off of.
I still think that. I still think Utah is the better team there, and I think if that's a neutral site game in Texas or
probably
in an indoor stadium at least, even if it was still in Florida, like Utah probably wins that game. But Florida, man, like that heat, man, it just sucks it out of you. I think that was the main difference.
And so I was wrong. That was my luck of the week. I took Utah and I picked them to finish 3rd in the playoff rankings. Obviously, they still have a shot to make it, but they got to run the table now. And
which they won't.
After watching, no, because I actually think they can. Because after watching the Pac-12 this weekend,
True.
I think they can. I think they can do it because.
Did you watch that USC game?
Yeah, they played Nevada. Didn't they?
That was Rice. It was Rice.
Oh,
but
right. Yeah, they played.
They still
Rice.
dropped 66 on them, though, dude.
So.
I mean, we're about to sit here and talk about Alabama dropping 55 and how they're the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, I think
I'm just saying.
It's week one. And Lincoln Riley's known for running the score up.
True.
So
I don't know. We might just need to throw a little extra sauce on that USC Utah game because I'm high on USC right now.
Yeah, I probably won't bet on that game. And speaking, of this ad read is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for NFL Week 1 this Thursday. By the way, cannot wait for that. Fantastic opening game, by the way. Bills Rams. Whoa, just saying.
Unbelievable.
Betting sponsor of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code BOOT, that's B-O-O-T, to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code BOOT, only on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sponsor of the Aux Cord podcast.
Falcons money line, free money.
You're an idiot.
Who do y'all play the Saints? Absolutely.
I know.
Let's touch on our bets. Let's touch on our locks of the week. So me and Bond were dead wrong. I took Utah. Bond took Oregon. Nick took South Carolina, which, by the way, dude, you got a little lucky because it didn't look like South Carolina was going to cover for a while.
Well, I know, but I mean, it took 2 blocked punts, but I mean, like,
hey,
flip side of that argument is like you kind of got unlucky because Utah scores a touchdown there, they cover, right? So
it didn't really matter. My parlay got screwed because Oregon is garbage.
True. But I mean, I got a little bit lucky, but I mean, the way that I saw that game going is it was going to be tight in the first half.
Yeah.
And then Shane Beamer and that depth, they were going to be able to outlast Georgia State and pull away in the end, which is exactly what happened. I wasn't impressed with Spencer Rattler. I wasn't just like overly like, this is the guy that's going to take him.
Like, how did he look?
He looked, he just looked fine. Like, I expected a little bit more out of the guy.
Okay.
What honestly really impressed me, and it's going to be shocking, is their defense, man. They got some transfers on that. They got a middle linebacker that's like 6'3", 230. I mean, he looks like a linebacker from Alabama in 2011. The dude's huge, and they're just flying all over the field. They're so fast and athletic. Their DBs are really solid. I'm not going to say they're going to go out there and, win a national championship or compete for an SEC title this year, but they're a good team. I think, I got them. I got their season win total over 6, and I think that's 100% a lock.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch a game. I saw a little bit of the highlights. I saw the special teams pump blocks, and I mean, we'll see. They have Georgia coming up.
It's one of those teams where they get more reps under them. They'll be better as the season goes on. But they got a tough schedule. They got Arkansas this week and then Georgia at home. So it's a tough slate. It's a tough slate, which, that's a great transition. Wyatt, do you want to come in and talk about your Arkansas bet?
1-0 feels amazing, guys.
Yeah,
Arkansas. They covered, took a little bit more than I thought it was going to. They kind of, I think Cincinnati, they were expecting Cincinnati to be a lot worse than what they were. So they got punched in the mouth, but they responded very well and covered. Sam Pittman after the game says he's going to go drink a cold beer. I've never related to a head coach more.
I love Sam Pittman.
Sam Pittman podcast, by the way.
I love Sam Pittman. Dude. Sam Pittman's the new coach out, just like a 100%. Like everybody loves this guy.
He's everybody's lovable grandpa is what he is.
He's the best.
Not to like him. He comes into a dumpster fire program, turns it around immediately, and he's just lovable. I would love to grab a beer with Sam Pittman. I really would.
That dude has some stories. I bet you, like back in the 60s or like 70s and 80s. He's not that old, but I'm sure he's got some awesome stories.
So I did, which you guys saw, which we posted on social media. I did a 6-leg parlay this weekend. hit on Arkansas. I took all our picks. I did. I took every single one of them. Arkansas covered. South Carolina covered. I was right. You have to give me credit. I was right about the Notre Dame covering.
You were, yeah, because I was wrong about that one. I had 17.5, which sucked.
And then Utah and Oregon screwed. But we were talking about this last night after the game. What if every leg had hit and it came down to LSU -3?
I mean, at that point you have to hedge. You have to. But good Lord, if you didn't, I know a guy that lost $1,200 on that game because he was live betting it all the way down. And he lost $1,200 total at the end of it. But
yeah, but I mean, it was done. It was done after 3 o'clock. I was okay with it. So we were talking about it, what if it came down to that and LSU scored.
What were the odds on it though?
100
to 1.
Oh, for the parlay?
Yeah, 7 legs.
It was. Hold on, I can tell you. Yeah, I put $100 down. The odds were. Let's see.
I think you sent a picture to me, if that helps.
The total odds. I'm looking for the total odds. I mean, the payout was 4,700, so that's pretty nice.
Oh, so 47 to 1.
Or yeah, or no, 46 to 1, or 4,600 to 1.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Damn. What if that did? Oh my! Would you even fly back to New York if you had that parlay?
Yeah, of course I would.
I would have stayed in the casino and just lost it all in the next 3 days.
So I had two of them, and I had that one, and I had a 7-leg one, which Vandy hit with Elon. So I was pretty happy about that because that one actually hit. But I would have been so upset. But it was a great weekend. So I'm just not going to talk about it. Not make myself. All right, we got to talk about a few more games here.
Yeah,
I think we should go ahead and touch on our team, the number 1 team in the country, Alabama. We played Utah State. They cover 41.5 somehow.
Yeah,
it was
space.
It was ridiculous. I mean, wow. Bryce Young, by the way, just
6 touchdowns in 2 quarters.
Unbelievable.
How is that even possible in Division I football? I get it's Utah State, but I mean, why we're talking before you got in the call, Cruz, it was like that team was still finished last season in the AP Top 25.
Yeah, they won.
They had 11 games. They won 11 games last year. That's not a bad team. They returned 9 starters on offense.
No, they were a good team. They were top 25 nationally and in total offense last year. They returned a lot of starters. So I wasn't expecting. I knew they weren't going to win, but I wasn't expecting to drop half 100 and still cover. Especially with the spread that big, opening week, you have a big game against Texas next week. Pull the starter, which they did. They pulled the starters.
Jalen Milroe looked good, by the way.
He did.
Yeah. That one pick that was underthrown was kind of tough, but other than that, he looked really good.
I wish I would have saw a little bit more Ty. I'm really excited to see Ty come in, but I mean Jalen looks fantastic. Bryce 18 of 28, 195 yards. I know it wasn't overly impressive, but it was a lot of RPOs. But his passes that he did hit were on the money. 5 touchdowns. The one thing I'm impressed with is he looks faster. He looks faster. So he was riding. He had 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. I mean, that he 63 yarder.
Yeah, that 170-yard run or whatever was nuts.
Yeah,
he does look a lot more willing to run. Which Alabama fans, that was our biggest gripe last season, was he was always scared to tuck it.
Like A&M, Florida, Auburn, Arkansas, dude, take off and run. You're Russell Wilson, basically.
Right, you're the number 1 dual threat quarterback in your class, and you're not running the ball. Which I get. We've had bad injury luck with Tua in the past.
Yeah,
who was supposed to be dual threat.
Yeah.
So I get Saban's reluctancy to let him do it, but now that we've seen what happen when we do let Bryce just do that.
Yeah.
Well, it just opens up so many possibilities, and it's almost impossible now to prepare for this Alabama offense because he can throw it on you. He can throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, or he can run for 200 and 2 on the ground too. So it's impossible to prepare for that. I'm glad that they're kind of letting him off the leash a little bit. It seems like he was enjoying it is not necessarily a great word, but it seemed like he was more of himself. Like he had full control of the offense. He made checks at the line himself. He didn't look to the scrimmage. Like he checked at the line and made the change. So I think he's the same way that they gave the reins to Mac Jones in 2020 and Mac, was making changes at the line and was pretty much running that offense all the way up and down the field. Seems the same way Bryce is doing this year. And I get, granted, it's Utah State and it's week 1. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, but I genuinely don't know how Alabama doesn't beat everybody by 30 points this year.
So
other than Georgia, by the way.
Yeah, that's I think the only team that will keep close. Right now, obviously it's week 1. Like we need to see some other teams play. But obviously we took our foot off the pedal. We didn't show too much in the playbook. Like I said,
we were jogging in the second half. It was
matchup against Texas coming up. College Game Day just announced you're going. I hate that it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Like it's criminal. This should be a night game.
Yeah, it is, but it'll be hot as hell. You're going to the game, right?
Yes, I'm going to the game. Bond will be in Austin as well.
Sure.
This is gonna be great. But I wanted to touch on a few other things about this game. Jamar Gibbs, 58 yards, ripped off a huge run, 9 carries, 93 yards. I am so impressed by Trayshawn Holden.
Yeah.
He looks legit.
Yeah,
I know
he kind of seems like he's our big body receiver this year.
He's physical as hell. Like 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kobe, the freshman, impressed.
Yeah.
I think this kid's a star in the making.
100%.
Be that young and to look like a veteran. You know, he kind of reminds me of Nick. Kind of reminds me a little bit of our Darius Stewart.
Ooh, that's an interesting comparison. I didn't think about that.
He's fit. I like this kid a lot. I can't wait to see what he does. 5 catches, 60 yards. Burton, welcome to Tuscaloosa. 2 touchdowns in your first game.
We knew what he was, though. Everybody else
Didn't he
is a
have
little
2
bit
touchdowns in the entire season last year at Georgia?
I think it was 3 or 4. It's like he got half of his production in one game at Alabama that he did.
Right.
He had 35 yards, but it was a lot of the RPO slants. But he looked good. It looks like him and Bryce are going to be having a lot of those end zone connections this year. Rushing wise, you had Miller go for 32, McClellan go for 23, Roydale Williams went for 15. Trey Sanders, though, 1 carry, 5 yards.
Yeah, I didn't really see the field much. I don't know.
I don't really know.
I know it's a running back by committee this year. I mean, we got 4 guys in that running back room that would probably start everywhere other than Georgia.
Last year the season that he got into that car accident, though?
That was in 2019.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He broke his like his femur or something.
Yeah, it was
which is the hardest bone to break in the body.
Yeah. So big matchup next week. Really excited about that. The line already came out. I believe it's Alabama minus 18, 17.
I saw 17 and a half.
And
then I saw over under 56 and a half as well. So
the other big game, which was the top 5 matchup, Notre Dame, Ohio State. It's kind of a boring game.
A little bit boring. I mean, Notre Dame gave some flash in the beginning. Kind of honestly, I saw it the way it went. I mean, Notre Dame comes out hot, and then Ohio State just kind of suffocates them. I kind of thought Ohio State would score more than they would with that offense because I legitimately thought that they were going to have a better offense this year than Alabama. I thought Alabama was probably going to be a better overall team than them, but I thought CJ Stroud in that offense was going to be unbelievable. And they struggled. I don't know if that was more of Notre Dame's defense or if more of Ohio State struggling, but
I think it was.
It's week 1. They'll find their stride for sure.
JSN got hurt, obviously, and we know what he is. He
brings a lot to the table.
Great.
For sure.
Ohio State, they're rushing the ball, 172 yards on the ground. Notre Dame only 76, so they get outgained on the ground by almost 100 yards. Time of possession, Ohio State won, 22 first downs. Ohio State, I think they were lucky that Notre Dame's offense was just awful. Like, it was painful to watch. It was boring. It was predictable. But I think this is a defensive team. I think Notre Dame has some guys on defense, which clearly shown to keep an offense like that in check, only holding them to 21 points. But Ohio State should be lucky that Notre Dame did not have a good offense.
Yeah, I mean, they were, you know, a couple of plays there that showed a little spark that Notre Dame can compete with them. And again, it could have been just week one. Ohio State, you know, they always seem to start slow for some reason under Ryan Day, but they always pick it up middle of the season. I think if this game happens week 7, week 8, week 9, maybe this is a different outcome. But after that, I'm a little bit more of a believer in that Notre Dame coach. I can't think of his name right now. He's a super young guy.
Yeah, he was a star linebacker at Ohio State back in the day.
Right. Yeah. So he went back and coached against him, which is a cool story. But I'm a little bit more of a believer. I didn't think he was going to be the guy for them. I thought he was going to be like a Coach O, like a great players coach, and he was going to get the most out of the guys that were already there. But 2-3 years from now, he was going to struggle a little bit. But he might be a good coach. He might be a pretty damn good coach.
I mean, speaking of struggling, Nick, you all right there? You sound like you're.
Yeah, I was little sinuses, man. Like it's they're killing me right now.
So we'll just do a quick rundown of the SEC to kind of wrap things up. Mississippi State taking care of business against Memphis, 49-23. Game probably a little closer than they want, but Will Rogers, 38 of 49, 450 in the air, 5 touchdowns. Air raid's back. Auburn takes care of Mercer, 42-16. They didn't cover the spread, by the way. Just saying. I didn't see any of this I didn't watch any of this game, but TJ Finley, 9 of 14, 112 yards, 2 interceptions, by the way. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Tank Bigsby, though, this offense is all Tank. It's 16 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, we know what Tank is. South Carolina beats Georgia State 35-14. Vanderbilt surviving Elon 42.
They covered the spread. What are you talking about?
No, they didn't. We missed.
They'd missed the spread?
Yeah.
It was minus 18, I believe.
17.5.
Yeah. Oh, 17.5. But think about that. Like Vanderbilt scored 63 and only allowed 10 against Hawaii. And then the next week, Elon comes to town.
How bad is that Hawaii team?
Pretty bad.
That's a really bad Hawaii team. Good Lord.
We know that Florida upsets number 7 Utah in the Swamp 29 versus 26. Anthony Richardson had a fantastic game as a dual threat. 3 rushing touchdowns, 106 yards on the ground, 168 in the air, no touchdowns, but made huge, huge plays. So very impressed with him. Kentucky taking care of business against Miami, Ohio, 37-13. Nothing really there. Arkansas survives a close one against Cincinnati, 31-24. Ole Miss with a little bit of a disappointment, 28-10 over Troy. I was a little disappointed in this game. Jackson Dart, 18 of 27, 154 in the air, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But Zach Evans looked legit, 20 carries, 130 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. Oregon gets dominated by Georgia, the defending national champs, 49-3. Texas A&M, the longest college football game you will ever see because of a 6-hour delay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sam Houston State, 31-0.
Can we talk about that game for a second?
Yeah, we can.
They did not look good.
Their offensive line not good. It's not good. Haynes King, 20 of 31, 364 in the air, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, by the way.
If you can only put up 7 points through 1.5 quarters on an FCS team, I'm sorry, but how the hell do you think you're going to hang with Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee?
Not even just Alabama, Georgia, but like Alabama pissed off at you.
Yeah.
And then Georgia probably, I mean, like equally as talented defense. I mean, and I would even say that Arkansas has a pretty damn good defense this year. Like they are pretty good.
Some guys, yeah.
So
it's going to be huge. They have Miami in 2 weeks, and like I said, I already told you guys, I'm picking Miami in the game.
Oh yeah, did you see that Miami game? They looked good.
Good. I know they're playing, a small school, but put up 70.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to execute to put up 70 points. I said that same thing about USC. It's like you still have to go out there and execute your game plan in order to score that much points in a Division I football game. So Miami to drop 70, really, really impressive. That was awesome for Mario Cristobal.
No, they look good. Wrapping it up on the Thursday night game, Missouri takes care of business against Louisiana Tech, 52-24. I don't know too much about this Missouri team this year. They could be something. I don't really know. And then, of course, everyone's dark horse to win the SEC East. Tennessee beats down Ball State 59-10. Ball is not a state, by the way.
Ball is not a state.
Himdell Hooker, 18 of 25.
Ball is a state of mind.
2 touchdowns. I thought that they showed some flashes. I don't think they had to show too much against this Ball State team. It's more of just getting ready for the SEC opener. And to touch on next week, obviously the big game is Alabama, Texas, 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff, game of the week. Right now, I'm looking at it. I'm seeing spreads up to Alabama -20. That's what we're.
I think it'll work its way up to 21.5. I think there's a lot of big money going on Alabama this week.
I could see it. Missouri traveling to Kansas State to take on the Wildcats. That'll be an interesting matchup. South Carolina at Arkansas. That is going to be a fantastic game. I think spread right now, Arkansas favored by a touchdown. It's put up or shut up right now for South Carolina in this game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they go in there and knock off Arkansas in week 2, and they're undefeated going into that Georgia game, like, the hype on that game is going to be big.
Look out. Wake Forest playing Vandy. Vandy is 2-0, by the way. We live in a world where Vanderbilt is 2-0 and LSU is 0-1.
Unbelievable. Yeah, crazy.
You hate to see it. Appalachian State, which shout out to App State. We'll talk about them quick for 1 second. They play A&M. A&M needs to watch out because this team can put up points.
Yeah. They're really, really good. And honestly, one of the best strategies of all time to kick an onside kick and let them score off an onside kick to get the ball back.
Absolutely.
People clowned on me for saying they did that on purpose. I 100% they did that on purpose because they got the ball back and had the chance to go on to win that game.
Yeah.
Or to tie it, I guess, at that point. But they had a chance.
This game, I think, is actually going to be one of the more underrated games. Tennessee versus Pitt. Pitt coming off a fantastic backyard brawl, which, by the way, can we make this an annual game again? Because it was a fantastic football game.
Yeah. I mean, the energy.
Why did they ever cancel it?
Because they were in the same conference.
They were both in
at the
time. And then,
so they just didn't keep it.
Pitt went to the ACC. West Virginia went to the Big 12. JT Daniels is just,
What happened to that guy?
I don't know. I really
don't. What happened to him? He was like, wasn't he like, it was like Alabama, Georgia. He was like, we were recruiting him. I remember that. And he went to Georgia, 5-star guy, like #1 in the class or something like that. Everybody was hyped about this kid. And now he's at West Virginia, just like, very good.
Yeah, he's at his 3rd school in 5 years. It's kind of rough to see. Send your funeral flowers to Samford University because they travel to Athens this week to take on Georgia.
Yeah.
Ole Miss playing Central Arkansas. Florida versus Kentucky is going to be a very interesting matchup. I originally had Florida upsetting Kentucky. I feel pretty good about that now. If Anthony Richardson shows up, it's in Gainesville. I know it's going to be another hot game. It's a night game, another night game in the Swamp. They're riding high on this momentum. I'm curious to see if Florida will be ranked in the top 25. I think they will.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
So a top 25 matchup. Auburn playing San Jose State, and then LSU is playing Southern. Hopefully they can get a win. And then it wraps up with Mississippi State traveling out to Arizona for Pac-12 after dark at 10 p.m. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. So any of those any of those games other than Alabama, Texas stand out to you?
Arkansas, South Carolina is the one to me that to watch. Obviously Florida, Kentucky, we can touch on that one too, but South Carolina, Arkansas, that's gonna be an interesting one. I think Shane Beamer's got some tricks up his sleeve. I think he has a real chance to be coach of the year in the SEC. Just based on the talent that he has and what he can produce on the field.
Yeah.
So that'll be one to watch. We'll probably hit that in our preview show though.
Vaughn, what about you?
Oh man, I don't really have a big one other than that Arkansas South Carolina game, just because I think it can end up as a trap game for Arkansas if they go in.
Do we know who Arkansas plays week 3? Who does Arkansas play week 3?
I can tell you. 1 second.
Missouri State.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so not really a trap game. I was like, maybe looking ahead kind of thing, looking past South Carolina.
Well, no, but if they don't take South Carolina seriously, then I could see them.
Oh, I could see it. I think South Carolina. Look, if Nick's right on it, they're a dangerous team. They do have A&M September 24th, and then Arkansas hosts Alabama. So they have two really tough back-to-back games with A&M and Bama and Mississippi State and BYU. So
BYU is going to be sneaky good this year, I think.
Yeah, BYU actually has, I believe, they play a tough matchup coming up this week as well. I'm trying to remember who they play. Oh, they play Baylor.
Yeah, they play. I think they're going to lose that game just because Baylor's my playoff team.
Yeah,
which is a great pick, by the way. Baylor looks amazing.
Yeah, they hung 69 on. I don't even remember who they played this weekend, but some FCS school.
They played Albany, I believe. Yeah, Albany.
Albany, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think BYU drops that, but the rest of their schedule, I can see them going 9-3, 8-4, maybe, which isn't a bad season for an out of conference school like BYU.
No, Hall, their quarterback, is pretty good. So he's someone to watch out for. So I'm excited. I thought it was a fantastic week one. We're still not done. We have a game tonight, Clemson versus Georgia Tech in the Georgia Dome. I think Clemson takes care of that easy.
Georgia Tech team total under 14.5. That's free.
That is
free money.
So I'm excited. I can't wait to be in Austin this week. You know I'm going to be decked out in some Christopher Mobley, though. Make sure that you go to ChristopherMobley.com and get the best collegiate apparel out there. We're talking SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and sometimes even the Pac-12. We'll include you too, even though you had a rough weekend. Make sure you go to ChristopherMobley.com. Use promo code CRUZ, C-R-U-Z, at checkout for 15% off your first order. Christopher Mobley, join the mob. And guys, that's going to do it for our week one recap. Fantastic show. Glad to be back. Glad college football is back. We have NFL coming up. We'll have our second episode going over week 2 of college football and week 1 of the NFL season. We're going to make our predictions before the season starts. I am high on a certain team with takes location in New Orleans. So shocker there. Find me online at The Real Cruz Ox, out on Instagram, Twitter. Make sure that you follow Boo Crew Media and the Ox Squad podcast on all socials. Nick, how can the people find you?
Yeah, just drop a follow on Twitter at InPerkins96. I'm actually going to check really quick. Oh, I'm 4 followers off 4K, man. That would have been fun to hit on this show. But 4 followers off 4K, so I appreciate you guys over there. Bond, let them know what you got.
You can follow me on Twitter at BondSnow_, and then as always, go follow the TikTok at Oxcord Podcast. We are up to 857, and Nick and I are in full shit posting prime right now.
Dude,
so
TikTok this week was so fun, man.
I'm so glad college football's back.
Yeah. Wyatt, you want to come out of your cave and let the people know?
Guys, drop a follow at the Oxcord Pod. We've been killing it this weekend. Thanks to you guys. Thank you guys so much. Follow Boot Crew on all platforms as well.
All right. We love you guys, and we will see you on Wednesday.